All right, so yesterday I did the first of 10 of 10 people that were somewhat influential in me going from a regular run-of-the-mill person who had no consideration whatsoever of going vegan to actually being a vegan. So yesterday I did Bill Pearl, who was the first person I saw just fly in the face of like the vegetarian vegan stereotypes. So a lot of time passed, and during that time, like I was in high school and I was running cross country and track and playing basketball and whatnot. So every summer I'd visit my dad. I'd be like running all these fun races and whatnot, like 5Ks and 10Ks for charities to help get in shape for the cross country season in the fall when I came back to school. And one of these summers, my dad on and off had his random theories, and he thought maybe it would be good to try vegetarianism. And so I went with that with him. And I was running, and we didn't have the internet back then, so you would have to like go to the library and research stuff, and I didn't do that. I was lazy. So whatever I needed at that time, I wasn't getting, and I was like starving the whole time and like downing all these nuts and whatnot, trying to get some fat and calories. And that did not go well for me. And then a little later down the road, I think real shortly after I had graduated high school, I don't even think I was 20 yet, I think I was in my late teens, my dad and I tried that one more time, even though we crashed and burned the first time. And again, I wasn't running cross country or anything, but man, I was just so hungry again. And I was downing all these nuts trying to not be hungry. And finally, like, we went and visited my aunt, and she had made this really, really good homemade spaghetti with meat sauce, and we were both starving, and we just looked at each other and we gave in. And so that didn't go good at all. So that wasn't one of my influential things. That's just like the first time I even touched on something, and then I think I wrote it off as it wasn't for me. So that's where these next 9 people I'm gonna make videos come in. And the first was a guy named Simon. I moved to Maui in 2003, and I had this really, really good friend. There was actually like this whole family I was good friends with, but their oldest daughter came out in 2004 to visit, and she was here for about 6 months. And when she was here, she met like these 2 intelligent goofballs that like were kind of opting out of society. They were tired of the nonsense, so like they didn't have jobs and they were living in their vans, and they were both vegans. I know at least one was, and the one guy was Simon, and he was really intelligent, and he was a pretty cool guy. So she was a really good friend of mine, so him and her were together all the time, and so I was around him a lot, and we'd do stupid things like play dominoes or play cards or take hikes or whatever. And so I got to talk to him a lot, and he was a vegan, and he's really intelligent, and he was the first guy who started explaining a lot of stuff to me and changes some of my concepts. At the time, I kind of blew him off all the time when he talked. I'm just being honest here. Because I loved meat. I loved strength training. And I remembered my experience as a vegetarian where I was like super, super hungry all the time, and thought, yeah, sure, this diet is fine if you're a run-of-the-mill person doing run-of-the-mill stuff, but if you're like going all nuts on the weights like I do, you're just gonna be starving all the time and it's gonna suck. So again, a misconception, a prejudice, and a lot of people have things like that. I mean, it may be changing, especially in YouTube land with all these fitness people, but this is how it was back then. But he was the first guy to plant a seed on veganism. Before that, I didn't even know about veganism. Like, to me, there was like, you eat meat or you're vegetarian. And I think even now there's people that think that, simply because I remember I have a cool friend at work who was getting frustrated trying to figure out which was which, because it all just doesn't make sense to some people, because they don't care. So yeah, so this guy was the first guy who brought the concept of veganism to mind, because I didn't know that there were vegetarians that like would have dairy and whatnot, and then there's vegans who won't have dairy or use any animal products whatsoever. So I didn't know the difference back then. So that's number 2.